trouble. The head officer has a time reading them. Fausto? Dmitri? Pushkin? What kind of a name is that? I'm summoned to help, since the old man can't read what I wrote. When I finish, the suspicious officer points to the old man, who is nodding away at the names I've read off. You say them now. My memory, the old man complains. There are too many. The officer narrows his eyes at him. How do you call your sons, then? Bueno, oficial, the cagey old man says, turning and turning his sombrero in his hands. I call them all mijo. Son, that's what he calls them all. I smile sweetly, and the decorated chest puffs out. He wants to get on to new game. We'll do what we can, compay, he promises, stamping the form before him and readily accepting the fee of rolled-up pesos. Now it's our turn, but unfortunately the head officer announces that the office is closing in 5 minutes. We've waited so long, I plead to my guard. Me too, all my life to meet you, señorita, so don't break my heart. Come back tomorrow. He looks me up and down, flirting. This time I do not smile back. I've shot myself in the foot is what I've done by helping out the old Don Juan. Prolonging his audience, I lost us hours today. Mama sighs when I tell her that we have to come back tomorrow. Ay, mijita, she says. You're going to fight everyone's fight, aren't you? It's all the same fight, Mama, I tell her. Early next morning, we wake up to a banging at our room door. 4 heavily armed guards inform me that I am to be taken to the headquarters for questioning. I try to calm Mama, but my own hands are shaking so bad I can't button up my dress. At the door, Mama informs the guards that if I go, she goes too. But these are a meaner breed than the ones up north. When she tries to follow me out, a guard blocks her way with a thrust of his bayonet. No need for that, I say, lifting the bayonet. I reach over and kiss my mother's hand. Mama, la bendición, I say, the way I used to as a child before going off to school. By now, Mama is sobbing. Dios te bendiga, she sniffles, then reminds me, what's your you-know-what? I realize she no longer means just my mouth. I am back at the National Police Headquarters, an office we didn't see yesterday. The room's breezy and light, a top floor, someone in charge. A courtly, white-haired man comes forward from behind his desk. Welcome, he says, as if I were here for a social call. He introduces himself, General Federico Fiallo, and then indicates someone behind me I did not notice when I walked in. I don't know how I could have missed him. He is as close to a toad as a man can look. A heavy-set mulatto with mirrored dark glasses that flash my own scared look back at my face. Don Anselmo Paulino, the general introduces him. Everyone knows about Magic Eye. He lost an eye in a knife fight, but his remaining good eye magically sees what everyone else misses. In the last few years, he's risen to be Trujillo's right-hand man by the dirty security work he's willing to do. My empty stomach is churning with dread. I steel myself, recalling face after suffering face I saw yesterday just downstairs. What do you want with me? The general smiles in a kindly way. I'm keeping you standing, señorita. He apologizes, ignoring my question. The kindness gives way a moment when he snaps his fingers and curtly admonishes the guardias for not putting out chairs for his guests. Once the toad and I are seated, the general turns back to his desk. You must look on me as your protector. Young ladies are the flowers of our country. He opens the file before him. From where I sit, I can see the pink registration slip from the hotel. Then a number of sheets of paper I recognize as Leo's letters from my purse. I am here to ask you some questions about a young man I believe you are acquainted with." He looks squarely at me. "Virgilio Morales." I feel ready, as I wasn't before, to risk the truth. "Yes, I know Virgilio Morales." Magic Eye is at the edge of his chair, the veins on his neck showing. "You lied to El Jefe. You claimed you didn't know him, didn't you?" Now, Don Anselmo," the elderly general soothes. "We don't want to scare the young lady, now, do we?" But Magic Eye doesn't observe such fine distinctions. "Answer me," he orders. He has lit a cigar. Smoke pours from his nostrils like a dark nosebleed. "Yes, I denied knowing him. I was afraid," again I choose my words carefully, "of displeasing El Jefe. It is just short of an apology, all I will give." General Fiallo and Paulino exchange a significant glance. I wonder how there can be any communication between those ancient milky eyes and those dark glasses. The general picks up a page from the folder and peruses it. "What is the nature of your relationship with Virgilio Morales, Señorita Minerva?" "We were friends." Come, he says, coaxing me as if I were a stubborn child. "These are love letters." He holds up a sheaf of papers. "Dios mío, has everyone in this country been reading my mail except me?" "But you must believe me, we were just friends. If I'd been in love with him, I would have left the country as he wanted me to." "True," the general concedes. He looks over at Magic Eye, who is stubbing his cigar on the sole of his boot. "Were you not aware, Señorita Minerva, that Virgilio Morales is an enemy of state?" Magic Eye intervenes. He has put the extinguished cigar back in his mouth. "I wasn't involved in any treasonous activity, if that's what you're asking. He was just a friend, like I said." "And you are not in communication with him now?" Magic Eye again is taking over the interview. The general raises a perturbed eyebrow. After all, this is his breezy office, his top floor, his pretty prisoner. The truth is that I did write to Leo after I found his letters, but Mario couldn't deliver my note as no one really knows to this day where Leo is. "No, I am not in communication with Virgilio Morales." I address my remark to the general, even though the question came from Magic Eye. "That's what I like to hear." The general turns to Magic Eye. "We have another little matter to discuss, Don Anselmo, not relating to security." He smiles politely, dismissing him. Magic Eye flashes his dark glasses at the general a second, then stands and sidles to the door. I notice he has never given his back to us. General Fiallo now begins chatting about the days he spent posted in El Cibao, the beauty of that region, the lovely cathedral in the square. I am wondering where all this is going when a door opens across from the one we entered by. Manuel de Moya, tall and dapper, sporting a Prince of Wales ascot. Good morning, he says cheerfully as if we're all about to go on safari. "How are things?" He rubs his hands together. "Don Federico, how are you?" They exchange pleasantries a moment, and then Don Manuel looks approvingly at me. "I had a word with Paulino in the hall as he was leaving. It seems Señorita Minerva has been quite cooperative. I am so glad." He addresses me sincerely. "I hate to see ladies in any kind of distress." "It must be difficult for you," I acknowledge. He does not catch the sarcasm in my voice. "So you thought you might be displeasing El Jefe by admitting to a friendship with Virgilio Morales?" I nod. "I'm sure it would mean a great deal to our benefactor to hear that you have his pleasure in mind." I wait. I can tell from hanging around these guys that there is bound to be more. I believe Don Antonio has already spoken to you? Yes, I say, he did. I hope you will reconsider his offer. I'm sure General Piaggio would agree. General Piaggio is already nodding before any mention has been made of what he is agreeing to. That a private conference with El Jefe would be the quickest, most effective way to end all this nonsense. Si, General Piaggio agrees. Don Manuel continues. I would like to bring you personally to him tonight at his suite at El Jaragua. Bypass all this red tape. He gestures towards the general, who smiles inanely at his own put-down. I stare at Manuel de Moya, as if pinning him to the wall. I'd sooner jump out that window than be forced to do something against my honor. Manuel de Moya plunges his hands in his pockets and paces the room. I've tried my best, señorita, but you must cooperate a little bit. It can't all be your way. What I've done wrong, I'm willing to acknowledge personally to El Jefe, yes. I nod at the surprised secretary. But surely my father and mother can come along as fellow sufferers in my error. Manuel de Moya shakes his head. Minerva Mirabal, you are as complicated a woman as... He throws up his hands, unable to finish the comparison. But the general comes up with it. As El Jefe is a man. The two men look at each other, weighing something heavy in their heads. For weeks before El Jefe can see us. As far as we can tell, Mama and I are under arrest, since we aren't allowed to leave the hotel to go home and wait there. Pedrito and Jaimito have come and gone a dozen times, petitioning here, visiting a friend with Paul there. Dede and Patria have taken turns staying with us and arranging for our meals. When the day of our appointment finally arrives, we are at the palace early, eager to see Papa, who has just been released. He is such a pitiful sight. His face is gaunt, his voice shaky. His once fancy guayabera is soiled and hangs on him several sizes too large. He and Mama and I embrace. I can feel his bony shoulders. How have they treated you? We ask him. His eyes have a strange absence in them. As well as can be expected, he says. I notice he does not look directly at us when he answers. We already know from Dede and Patria's searches that Papa has been in the prison hospital. The diagnosis is confidential, but we all assumed his ulcers were acting up. Now we learn Papa suffered a heart attack in his cell the Wednesday after he was arrested, but it wasn't till the following Monday that he was allowed to see a doctor. I'm feeling much better. His thin hands pleat his trousers as he talks. Much, much better. I just hope the music hasn't spoiled the yuccas while I've been gone. Mama and I look at each other and then at Papa. How's that, Enrique? Mama asks gently. Every time there's a party, half the things in the ground spoil. We've got to stop feeding the hogs. It's all human teeth anyhow. It's all I can do to keep up the pretense that Papa is making sense. But Mama's sweetness enfolds him and coaxes him back. The hogs are doing very well on palm fruit, and we haven't grown yuccas since this one here was a little girl. Don't you remember, Enrique, how we used to be up till all hours on harvest days? Papa's eyes light up, remembering. The first year you wanted to look pretty for me, so you wore a nice dress to the fields. By the time we finished, it looked like the sackcloth the yuccas were in. He is looking directly at her, smiling.